Job. So here we are. Okay. And ironic that we're going to be talking about a traffic speed safety policy. Good thing we haven't passed it yet. No, I'm kidding. Okay, we'll have a call to order. We have an invocation by Chet Barker and a pledge of allegiance by Parker Woodworth. Chet, would you lead us?
Yeah. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all of your many blessings. Thank you that we could all be here today, and please help this meeting to go well, and in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
And Park Woodworth will lead us in the pledge.
Please repeat the pledge with me. Oh, sorry, stand up. My bad. Please repeat the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our first item is our public forum. This is an opportunity for members of the public to make public comment. Is Benjamin Donner here? With the Red Cross. Benjamin, will you please come up to the microphone?
Hello, good evening. So my name is Benjamin Donner. I'm the Executive Director of the American Red Cross and live here in Utah County, and truly grateful to be here. We've got a lot of amazing individuals behind me here, and we wanted to recognize all, and especially one, here this evening for their just incredible work and amazing partnership with the American Red Cross. So I'd like to just take 30 seconds here and say about 4 years ago, almost exactly, we're a couple weeks off, I, after being a blood donor for 29 years, was being rushed to the emergency room in Draper, Utah, where ultimately I became a guest there for a few days and needed 4 units of blood to stay here. And for the long time here, I've been saying on behalf of the American Red Cross, we appreciate everybody who does this, but I don't say it that way anymore. Now I say on behalf of my 16-year-old daughter, on behalf of my 15-year-old son, and the fine individuals with Mapleton City Fire and Rescue have just been instrumental in helping our cause in both preparedness, in emergency response, but especially in blood collection. So there were 2 things that I brought here today. First and foremost, we want to recognize our amazing Chief Nick Glasgow, who's become a wonderful friend of mine, just for being an exceptional community partner. Here this past year was instrumental in holding the largest blood drive collectively here in Utah County for the entire year. And we collect a lot of blood here, so that's saying something. There was so much work and effort, and it wasn't just him. The entire department and city just came together. But I wanted to personally be here and just recognize him as just one of our most incredible partners. So with that, Chief, would you? And he didn't know this was going to happen, so.
I was wondering why my family's here.
And by the way, I have a glass award that we're going to be presenting at a later date at the American Red Cross, but he didn't know that either. But Chief,
Thank you.
we truly appreciate it. And with, say something.
We have an amazing team here at Mapleton, and I accept this award, thank you. But Lisa Hone, the people that, Grace Nay, I mean, it's my team that hits it out of the park every single time. I support this because I'm afraid of needles and you're never getting a drop of blood out of me. So I'll help put these things on every day, but you're not getting my blood, so.
Benjamin, can you give us some more information? You said we had the largest blood drive here in Mapleton.
In Utah
the Utah
County.
County. Can you give us some scope on that? Like, what does
Yes.
that mean?
Yes, so 113 units of blood. And what that means is each single unit can save up to 3 individual lives. So in that one day, and I know it took a lot of time and effort up to that day, but in that one day, up to 339 people and their lives were affected because of those efforts. And that was just that one day. I did bring to his point in recognizing the entire department last year collectively received 239 units of blood and absolutely one of our premier partners. But to put that in perspective, every single hospital in Utah, with the exception of 3, get every single drop of blood from the American Red Cross. Every hospital here in Utah County, every drop comes from us. And if we don't do it, there's somebody there that might not see tomorrow. And that was me a couple years ago, the only time in my life I wasn't fully confident I was going to wake up the next day. So I also have a certificate here for the department as a whole, and I know, Lisa, I would be very remiss if I didn't recognize the time and effort she puts in, as well as everybody else. So thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you. Benjamin, with 40, 45, 50 young people in here, what is the minimum age one has to be to donate blood, should any of our young people want to do that?
So here in Utah, one of our state representatives, former state representatives, was able to get passed and implemented that 16-year-olds with parental permission are able to donate. And so we want to make sure that everybody's safe and that it works. We don't pressure anybody into it. But when I was 16 years old, that was the very first time my father took me to donate. And that's led to 30-plus years of Red Cross service and work that I'm forever grateful. So,
That's wonderful.
yes,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you very much. Are there any other public forum items? Nobody's on there? Okay. We have a discussion item, Terry Deo and Roxanne White. Is Roxanne here as well? Would you come up, please? Terry Deo is the Senior Citizen Committee Chair, and Roxanne is a responsible citizen, involved citizen.
Can we also call David New up? He
Oh,
is
Dave
the
New.
owner. John New.
John New, please come on up.
Please, 'cause he was-
You wanted to talk about a possible donation.
Yes. So my name is Terry Deo. I am the Senior Citizen Chairman here in Mapleton. And this is Roxanne. She is a neighbor of David Young, who is one of our wonderful committee members and passed away about 2 years ago. And this is the current homeowner. In one of the things that David Young liked to his hobbies was stained glass. And you might have received an email, hopefully you did receive an email, it had a picture on it like this, of a beautiful stained glass window that he did. They have wonderfully offered it to the city of Mapleton. And at first, the thinking was, well, we don't have anywhere to put this. But thinking more and more about this, we thought that this is just too wonderful to just not be. And we know that this is where David would want it to. And the idea and thinking is that if down the road, hopefully down the road, we have a senior center, then we could maybe work this into the plans and put this in there. Right now, it's in the home, and this is, John is one of the owners of the home. I guess it's several of you that own the home.
Yeah, there's a couple of us.
Okay.
It's a rental property.
It is.
It is a rental property right now. They have said that it can stay with the rental property as long as it's rented out. And they feel like it would be pretty safe because it has glass in front of it. And they don't think that there would be much problem with it being any kind of damage to it. It does separate into sections, so it's not one big piece. It does separate into sections. We would really like this to be part of our seniors, part of our senior center. We are willing to even take it down and put it in the gym until what time as we could be able to put it in. But we also, since they have offered, think that it could stay there too. And Roxanne has been facilitating this a lot with us. She's a next door neighbor, and she knew the Youngs very well. So,
If you'd allow me to
go ahead,
make
sure.
a comment, I have a little more detail that might be helpful in making your decision about it. There is a man that lives in the Harvest Park neighborhood as well, named Ross Wolfley, and he's the owner of Timeless Glass Art, which prepares and installs stained glass windows into temples of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints all around the world. And he was a friend of David's as well. And so Ross has generously offered that if the city determines they'd like to accept this donation, which Ross did the valuation for us, since this is his area of expertise, and he determined that the value is about $36,000 that would be donated to the city. But if the city's willing to take it, that he would be willing to collaborate with the architects or the builders to help them understand what kind of framing needs to be in place if you determine to use it as an exterior window with natural light coming in, or if it's determined that it would be better as an indoor display, then he can help the architect and the builders to understand what kind of support would need to be there to keep it preserved well. He's already, hopefully you received an email from Corey Branch, who is kind of facilitating this. You might have seen that this article was in the paper, and I was just so delighted that the owners would allow me to contact the reporter, and that she was so excited to run the story because she felt so passionate about preserving this beautiful work of art. As she mentioned, they're willing to allow it to stay stored in the home, which is honestly ideal according to Ross, the owner of this glass company, because moving it, storing it for several years, and depending on where you have to move it to store it, there's just lots of opportunity for breakage. So he has said that in the future, when the city's ready to take it, then his company could come and remove it and install it in the new home kind of same day. So that just would take a lot of the guesswork out of whether it would be protected and safe and all of that. And as she mentioned, David Young was our neighbor for 8 years, and he became like family to us and treated our children as if they were his own grandchildren. And I really looked at him and his wife as kind of surrogate parents for me and Steve, who our parents don't live close. And so he just was such a good man, and has become really kind of a legend in the Harvest Park neighborhood because of all the service that he would do. And as she mentioned, the family, it was unexpected when he passed away, and they really wanted to have the piece go to a local entity because David loved Mapleton so much, and it's a Utah landscape scene, and where he had such great involvement in the senior committee, it seems like the perfect pairing, and we just hope that you'll see that and find that.
Roxanne, is there any, is this the depiction, the landscape scene, is it of any, does it have any symbolism, significance, other than just local landscape that he liked?
Just local, with the mountains right here, and the trees, the wildlife, the flowers. His wife insisted that he put wildflowers in there, and he was so sweet to let my children choose the centers of the flowers and those kinds of things. But it's really just kind of generally representative of moving here to Utah and loving the landscape.
That's great. This is a discussion item, so is there anything else that you guys would like to share with the council?
Did you want to see the picture?
I've seen it. Yeah, yep, I've seen it.
Has everyone seen it? Yep. Be happy to pass that about if you need it, but, one thing.
What's the size, though? What's the?
So it's 26 feet in length by 5 feet at its peak. It's extremely heavy because it's backed on both sides with clear panes of glass to help the structure hold its shape well, which is really ideal, actually, for having it be an exterior window if you determine to do that, because it would be well protected because it's encased like that. And it is in 7 separate panes, so I was there when they installed it, and woo, those things are heavy. So it's nice that it's broken into the pieces.
Well, I appreciate you all bringing this to us. I think this is a piece of Mapleton history that connects with how we love our citizens. It's part of the heritage. It's part of this community of service we have. And so I love the connection. I love the connection to the beauty that we all cherish. I am fully supportive of us retaining this piece and keeping it for our future use in some of the facilities we have planned. I could see it in a variety of ways, but we don't have to make that call today or anything. But I also want to acknowledge the homeowners. Appreciate you being willing to hold it for a while so we can best preserve it for future use. So I'm very, very supportive. I know this is a discussion item. We don't have to render a decision as city council, but in terms of supporting it, I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. I neglected to mention that there was a gal in our neighborhood that was so intrigued by David Young's efforts that she offered to do a video interview of him, which to me is priceless at this point. He's got the glass pieces behind him that are ready to be installed, and they're just sitting up against the wall, and she asked him lots of questions about why he chose to do it and why he got interested in the first place. And so if the city decides to take it and have it on display, it's an option to have that video running on a TV, or at least have the information that you could put on a plaque or some other type of, book or brochure or something if the city wanted to do that. There's that information available.
I would invite, and I know you're his neighbor, and he is a legend, particularly in that part of the neighborhood, there's no doubt about that. As part of a future use, and again, I'm in this total support of that, having just perhaps some documentation of how he personified some of those values that we really do cherish in our community, just how he personified that. And of course, we have the artifact that he created, but that might be just a suggestion to consider.
You bet.
In between now and when we do implement that, or find a home for it.
And
Are there other questions or comments?
I'll just echo what everybody said. This is a wonderful opportunity to preserve this piece, and I think you guys are right. It's a perfect spot for it, and we appreciate the generosity of everybody involved. So.
Just that as well, I'm also fully on board and really appreciate all the planning that's gone through to preserve this.
Thank you.
I think it's great to be in a part of a town where people are this way about sharing what their talents are with other people and volunteering and giving. It's wonderful, and we appreciate it very much. I don't know that we can promise it'll be done in the next year. We're not sure. We do have some plans on doing these things, but we don't have the timing tied to it yet. So I think we'll find a place for it for sure.
I'll just say, we plan to have the house for the next at least 5 to 7 years. So
Okay.
we're fine keeping it until one of two events. One, you're ready to take it, or two, we're ready to sell the house. So in either case, we're happy to hold it.
So we've got a 5 to 7 year horizon on that.
There's time for it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good timeline too.
Yeah.
So.
Great. Sean, what is the process to formalize that donation? It's pretty straightforward, I'm sure, but can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, we'll work through that and determine what the best process is. I mean, there doesn't necessarily need to be a council action to accept it, but we'll work through it.
Okay, so we wouldn't likely see this topic again at a council meeting per se. It'll,
Probably not.
okay,
We'll verify that, but
okay,
it's pretty clear that the council support on it, so.
great. Great.
Thank
You
you for
bet.
coming
Thank
in.
you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Really appreciate it.
And if I can put on a different hat, I just want to extend a formal thank you from my husband, Representative Stephen White, for the accommodations that the city has provided for him, giving his pre-legislative meeting, his post-legislative meeting, which we held here last night. Camille and Corey are both so instrumental in making everything so easy for us and for him to be able to come and present in the various town halls he does throughout the year. We just want to thank you so much for being so wonderful and supportive about those events.
We appreciate his accessibility.
Thank you.
We're glad you live in town.
Okay, we're getting closer to what so many here today have been waiting for. We have a consent agenda. These items are routine and don't require discussion. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? After which, we will have a swearing in of our youth city council members.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve the consent agenda by Councilmember Carlson. It's been seconded by Councilmember Egbert.
Carlson, yes.
Egbert, yes.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
Thank you. We will now turn the time over to Camille Brown oh, we're going to turn the time over to the Youth Council, and then Camille Brown will lead you in the oath of, swear you in. She'll swear you in.
This is on. Yeah, it's on. Okay. Hello, my name is Brigham Call. I'm the mayor of the Mapleton Youth City Council this year 2023. We're excited to be here to introduce ourselves and to highlight what we did last year in MYCC. Thank you for allowing us some time on the agenda today. We have 4 members of MYCC in our executive committees. We'll now introduce ourselves, and then Trent Wilson, who is our mayor pro tem, isn't able to be here today. He's on choir tour, so you'll have to excuse him. But
I am Della Wilkins, and I am the secretary. I am Callie Essner, and I'm the project manager.
the Mapleton Youth City Council has 6 committees. Our committee chair people will now please come forward and introduce themselves.
I'm Kate Lewis. I am the Assistant Vice President of the Service Committee, and the Service Committee is in charge of the humanitarian outreach for MYCC, including Mapleton City cleanup events and Pioneer Day fundraising for our cause this year.
Hi, I'm Sydney Jackson, and I'm the VP of the Youth Outreach Committee, and we're in charge of the Moonlight Half, helping with the Scarecrow Festival and the Pioneer Day activities.
Hi, I'm Scout Chase, and I'm trying to find my thing, actually. Oh, okay. I'm the VP of activities, and we're in charge of Mapleton Kids Camp, team building activities, and other MYCC activities.
I'm Joanna McClellan. I'm the VP of Community Involvement, and we're in charge of the ball drop activity on the 24th of July, Chalk the Walk, Moving the Park, the Mapleton Tree Lighting, the Winter Ball, and other city events, too.
I'm Samantha Back, the Assistant VP of Public Relations, and we're in charge of social media and the Youth City Council portion of the MYCC, or Mapleton City newsletter. Our MYCC involvement is the parade on the 24th of July and photography for all of MYCC events.
And I'm Cal Wright. I'm Vice President of the Political Advocacy Committee in charge of the Day at the Capitol, working with the MYCC, meet the candidates and local caucus events, as well as Pioneer Day fundraising and a community outreach project once every year.
Hang on, did you say the not YCC? Hold on here.
I'm sorry, did I stutter?
Oh! No, but you caught me speechless, which doesn't often happen, so good job.
Thank you, committee chair people. You may be seated. We have 8 advisors who are working with the Youth City Council this year. When I read your name, will you please stand? Sarah Winward, Katie Chase, Laura Harkness, Rachel Hammer, Katie Thorpe, Mackenzie Boring, Casey Gillette, and Brittany Eliason. Thank you. You may be seated.
We have had a great year in MYCC in 2022 with a lot of service hours put in from our members. We also in 2022 had 54 MYCC members, 7 advisors, and completed 3,392 hours. We have had an average of 55.2 hours per member, and we are excited to see what 2023 brings to us. And we look forward to serving in our beautiful city.
So we had a pretty busy and active last year in MYCC. So this is the list of some of the activities that we were able to participate in. And we can show some of our highlights in the next few minutes. So the motto of Mapleton Youth City Council is create a spirit of unity, serve the citizens, and represent the youth of Mapleton City through meaningful leadership. And this is our focus when we plan and execute activities for the city, for our council, and for other surrounding communities. A group traveled to the Capitol during the legislative session, and there we were able to sit in on the legislative sessions and see the process of the legislative process in action. We were able to visit with some of our legislators, including our local representative, Stephen White, and it was a great opportunity. Really interesting to learn about our political process and how it works.
Okay. We had a great time at the Pioneer Day Parade and participating with the festivities at the park. We had fundraising booths and manned the games and activities in the park that day. We also had a lot of fun helping with the ping pong ball drop.
Our biggest and probably most fun activity we get to put on is Summer Kids Camp. This is our week-long camp for 6 to 9-year-olds, and we fill all 5 days with crafts, games, activities, and different snacks.
Chalk the Walk is a great opportunity for us to get out with the community. And we even have an epic throwdown challenge this year for the most accurately drawn continental U.S. So, look forward to that.
The Scarecrow Festival is one of our favorite events. We helped the Park and Rec department prepare for the festival, and we had a great time planning and building our own scarecrow. It was a lot of fun to see the scarecrows that we created displayed in the park in the following weeks.
With the growth and development happening in our community over the last couple of years, we know that there would be many people new to our community. So, and we figured that they might be unaware about political leaders and representatives in our area and who they were and how to reach them. So our political advocacy committee planned a community outreach activity, passing out flyers with that info to the new housing developments within our community.
Another service activity we were able to participate in this year was making candy sleighs for the Road Home Candy Cane Lane.
2022 was a great year with a lot of opportunities for service, community involvement, and fun. We have had a great group. We have a great group lined up for MYCC this year, and we look forward to doing even more in 2023. Thank you, Mayor Hakes, who I guess isn't here, but we'll still say thank you. Yeah. And to the city council members for your support of the Mapleton Youth City Council. We're excited to be a part of the 2023 Mapleton Youth City Council.
Thank you. Camille will lead the youth city council members in their swearing in. And advisors.
Okay, everyone stand up and raise your right arm for the swear. Okay, you're going to say I and then repeat your name. I, Sarah Williams, do solemnly swear. That I will support, obey, and defend. The Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of Utah. And the laws and ordinances of Mapleton City. And that I will discharge the duties. Of my office. With fidelity. Congratulations.
And thank you for your willingness. So the youth city council members who have just been sworn in, you're welcome to stay or be excused. Are they going to do a picture over next in the cafeteria, or not the cafeteria, the community center? Excuse me. So you're welcome to go. And I appreciate the Youth City Council mayor for acknowledging the absence of our mayor. I need to officially excuse Mayor Hakes from this meeting, and we will hopefully see him at our next meeting. All right. Okay, we've got a few action items on the agenda. Rob's not here. Okay, we'll turn the time over to Chief Jackson.
Yeah, I'm going to excuse Rob. There's been a situation come up on the other end of town that he's going to help with the mayor, and they're down there working on that. So if it's okay, I'll sit in for him on this topic. This is the traffic calming policy that we brought to you a month or so ago at our council retreat. Hopefully you've had a time to review it. I didn't plan on going through it very in depth unless you would like me to. But at this point, we're going to ask the council to go ahead and adopt that policy. I have some residents eagerly waiting for their scores on their roads. So once that's adopted, we will start rolling that out tomorrow with some people. So does anybody have any questions on the policy? Okay.
All right, we'll open it up for public comment. Seeing as there are there's no public comment. Oh, it's not a public. Okay. Whoops, we won't do that. Any discussion?
Right, anyway.
I'm supportive of the policy. I really appreciate all the work that you all did for that, and I'm excited to see some results and the scores, and kind of give with the citizens that come forward, having traffic issues. It'll be nice that we can show them this policy and the order of the escalation and kind of what the process is to go through it. So I'm supportive, and I'll make a motion to approve the traffic calming policy.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the traffic calming policy by Councilmember Beck, and it's been seconded by Councilmember Garrett.
Egbert, yes.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
Carlson, yes.
Real quick, Casey, people that are emailing you, do you want to be included in my follow-up emails to them?
I'd love to be included.
The rest of the council, I'm assuming the same. If somebody reaches out to you, you want to be included in those.
Yeah.
Very good.
Great. Okay, we'll go to the next item. We'll turn the time over to Matt Hancock regarding a resolution for approval of extreme high-def streaming subscription.
Good evening. Hey, this is a continuation of the staff report that we did about a month or so ago. And we just wanted to maybe report a little bit. We did talk with Eric Johnson, legal counsel, on this, and he looked and we couldn't find anything negative with this. We did look for any other municipalities in the area, at least that we knew of, and even across the United States, and nobody's really using this system. And so maybe that's probably the biggest negative that we ever had was we couldn't find anybody else that was using as far as the municipality is concerned. And so we did look at if there was any kind of legal issues, and Eric at this time couldn't find any, that there was any kind of illegal problems. I know that Corey had some in-depth conversations with Eric and wanted to report a little bit about that. I'm not sure exactly what he wanted to report. Kind of filling in here because of the emergency they're having with the flooding. So I'm just coming before you to see if you guys will go ahead and approve this if you want to, and we would go ahead and start this rollout.
Who's the main users of the service then, if it isn't municipalities? Is it just individuals?
There was some companies, but this is just, there wasn't a municipality that was running this type of system. This system is, when we looked at it, it's basically no cost.
Which is
as far as infrastructure is concerned. So we don't invest in infrastructure. It is a subscription that we will just provide. We will be called what we call a reseller. And so we'll provide a subscription to our users. And then we will pay a small portion of that for each user, and then we set our costs to the user for that, to cover that and whatever margin that you guys see fit to put on that. And that's where we set the rates in the staff report.
So this is a token-based system, right? So do we have to have any outlay for those initial batch of subscriptions? I'm wondering what the risk is. Do we have to buy 500? Do we have to buy upfront? So
Yes.
Where's the risk on that?
Yes, there's two models. The first model is a $500 model, and you receive 100 credits. Each credit is good for one user for that month. And so we buy, depending on how many users that we have, we can start out at $500 and we get 100 credits. And then after that, we will divvy those out to whoever signs up for the system. And they cost us $5 a credit. We will charge $14.99 a credit for that. The next step up is $1,500 for 500 credits, and then our costs go down to $3 a credit, and we still charge the same tier rate, which is $14.99 a user, and then any additional users, we're only charging an additional $10 for any additional user that wants to, in their family or in their connection that wants to be connected.
And a user is a TV or a tablet or something like that,
That's correct.
right?
And
Not a residence.
That's correct. That's correct. It is based on devices, and these connections are called concurrent connections. So what that means is if a user buys one connection, they can run it on one device, but if they turn off that device, another person can use that same connection in another device. So it is a concurrent connection. If they want simultaneous connections, that's where they'll buy another, for another extra $10 a month, they'll buy another connection and another connection if they want to run, concurrent, if they want to run, simultaneously on 3 different devices or 5 different devices.
So the financial output is really relatively low
It is.
upfront.
The risk is low. I think the concern was that there was any legal issues, because if you look at this, there is some out there that had some legal issues.
Right.
And that's what Eric was concerned with.
Tell me about any implications to staff time personnel. You've got some big projects going on in your department. So what's
Yes,
the anticipated?
There will be some time involved. We'll have to manage it's a panel. We'll have to manage each user as we go ahead. And as we rolled this out, we were looking at doing like a 3-month, 6-month, and a year type system, but it would still be billed monthly. Okay, and then that way, that would allow us to go ahead and be able to not have such a every month having to turn on more credits, and because they automatically go off, and so there's some logistics in there taking care of the system, and so it will require an account manager.
Are you anticipating any additional hires for the city in the next fiscal year as part of this?
No, what I thought I would do is I am going to hire an account manager for the network system, and I wanted to roll this into his responsibilities. If it gets too much, obviously we'll have to have another assistant with that, but I anticipate using one account manager for both at this point.
Thank you.
Because I really don't know what kind of penetration rate we're going to have. And that's why if you look at the staff report, it's very small. We're figuring maybe 10% as a penetration rate, but I have had a lot of people contact me and want to know if we're going to roll something like this out. And so we'll see.
I had someone ask if we were going to launch our own TV station, to which I said no. So,
In addition to the managing of the accounts, is there any tech support that we will need to provide, or will the company provide?
We are going to get calls, but this particular company, and that's one thing that we talked about in our staff meeting with the mayor and Corey, is we got to make sure that the users of the system understand it is a subscription-based. And if you're connected to our system, then you're eligible to for us to give you this subscription. Okay, this subscription, they have a 24-hour help desk, and the company takes care of all the tech support. We know we're going to get calls anyway, and we'll do our best to help them what we can, but for the most part, we're going to refer them to that 24-hour help desk.
So it makes me a little nervous that there are no other cities or towns that are partnering with this company. But I guess your conversations with them, is it over the phone or email?
Like I said, there wasn't any other cities that were doing this.
Right, but with talking with the company, like how do you talk with them? Is it?
It was just basically email.
Okay, just email.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And as part of the due diligence, just to double check, this is a legal entity. They are legally able to stream the.
Yeah,
content.
I think the risk is that this company is a worldwide company based in London. And like I've talked to you guys before, they do have servers in the United States, and there is a lot of users here. Obviously, laws and stuff are different in the different countries, and that was one thing why we wanted to engage Eric in this, just to see, what those issues were. Really, I think really we've done our due diligence as far as what we think the risks are, as best as we can. This system was just, I was asked to look at something that was inexpensive and to present to you. We can do other things which are more expensive, but at a probably a higher rate. In other words, it will become a system sort of like the YouTubes and the Sling TV and those, where what happens is they have a certain programming, and it is what they offer. They don't offer this worldwide type system, and it's a lot more expensive, and so that's why we wanted to present this to you guys. It really is your call on this.
It appears to me, or seems to me, that this is a pretty low risk to us as a city to offer this, and with consistent evaluation over the issues, challenges that come up on a regular evaluation, which I know you'll be watching, we can say we're not going to do this anymore. Should the feedback be negative, if the company doesn't give adequate customer service, because we don't want to be associated with that. If it turns out that, I don't know, there's some wicked problem that they can't take care of, we can always discontinue our role in that transaction. And I think that's a very low-risk proposition with a really good added upside.
Right, and I think it's very important that we make everyone understand it is a subscription, that we don't have any servers in it, we don't have any equipment in it. It is just a service that runs as a discount through us to our users.
And we'll need to disclaim that. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, we'll need to just disclaim that when we offer the service and sign them up.
Exactly, and there is one other thing, and that is we don't control this company, obviously. If they decide to not do this anymore, if they decide to change their prices, if they decide to do those kind of things, it's gonna be passed on to the user, obviously. At that point, we can't guarantee a tier. Okay, we can absorb the tier as much as you guys want to absorb the tier up to these levels that you've set. But if it goes above those levels and you still want to do this, we'll have to move these tiers.
I'm reminded of when I first moved into my first property in Harvest Park, part of the HOA fee included Comcast Internet. And it was not long before Comcast Internet was removed from our HOA fee.
Right.
And it's a similar thing, right?
It
We can
is.
offer it, we can leverage the system the infrastructure that we have, and until it doesn't make sense. And we have that control to do that. And so I'm prepared to make a motion if.
Can I just ask one more question?
Yeah, you bet.
For signing up, you don't need to have fiber internet, right, to sign up for the streaming?
You do not. We talked about this in staff, and we wanted to possibly use this as an incentive to sign up on our system and not offer it out to the full public unless you want to. If you want to change that and offer it to the public, whether they have our internet or not, we can do that. But we did talk about just offering it to the public that has our connection as an incentive to connect.
Really?
an initial position, right?
Yeah.
We wanted to test the waters. That was what we talked about, is possibly we offer it just to those who have the internet. See what kind of take rates we get, see what kind of complaints we get on issues, and then happy to open up city. But that was just what we discussed as a possibility.
Yeah, I'm supportive of that.
I think that's a good
It's a
way
really
to
good
go ahead.
leverage and incentive for people to sign up for our network.
I don't mind experimenting with that, but I also wouldn't want to miss out on the opportunity that it is to allow anybody to connect. I'm also considering, okay, if you have a sophisticated consumer who really understands the power of fiber, is this the option they're going to choose?
Sure.
It's not pretty.
It is not a pretty system. It is a cheap system.
Yeah, so I think that might be a misalignment with the user type, so I would say, sure, try it for a time.
Maybe the risk is more public risk of them not liking it or
Right.
something like that. So
Yeah, so I
mean,
would encourage staff to talk about that angle of it. It does seem low risk. It confirmed for me that we don't lock into any contract. We can.
Yeah, no contract.
The city, we can walk away if it
Yeah.
doesn't align with what
Yeah,
Leslie
it's
mentioned.
kind of both ways. They can walk away, we can walk away from the system. So it's,
Is CBS on here local?
it has every channel.
Okay, I didn't
It's
see, I
just-
didn't see it listed here in the list.
There's not enough paper to list.
Oh, so
It
channel two
is there. It is there. It is difficult. I mean, this is all a Unix-based system, and that's really what the rest of the world uses a lot more than the Windows-based system, but it will run on the Windows-based system. But Unix-based systems are a little more intensive as far as getting set up, and you guys may have seen that when I sent out that sheet. You got to know a little bit to get going. And we're going to do our best to help people get going with it. But like I said,
The youth council can help with that.
yeah, they'd be great. They'd be on it in 2 seconds.
I needed help.
All right. I will, are there any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, I will make a motion to approve the Extreme High Def IPTV streaming subscription for residential and business customers in Mapleton.
I'll second it.
That's of our fiber, with our fiber. Is that how you meant it?
I
or-
don't think you have to make the motion.
No,
with
I don't think
that.
we-
That's
We can
administrative
discuss.
decision.
I don't think we need to lock that in for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it would just be to offer it for residential and business customers in Mapleton, and the details of how that's rolled out would be part of Matt's
That's good. Okay.
purview. Yep.
Understand that.
Okay, so we had council member, who seconded it? Okay, so Councilmember Jones made a motion to approve, and Councilmember Garrett seconded it.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
Carlson, yes.
Egbert, yes.
Motion passes. Okay, great. We'll go on to administrative reports.
Maybe, Camille, I don't know, were you going to cover April's meeting, whether we're holding a meeting or not? Okay, so April, obviously, spring break is the first week. The third week is Utah League of Cities and Towns conferences. So we were looking at if we were going to hold a meeting in April, it'd probably be April 12th, and wanted to know, I think Jessica is gone for that one, is that correct?
Yeah.
And didn't know about the rest of the council members.
April 12th?
12th works for me.
I'm good. That works.
I'm here.
Okay.
Just a second. Oops. I have an American Legion meeting that night, but I could forego it.
Okay, we'll let you know. We'll look at our calendar and get back to you.
If it helps, I won't be here on the 5th, which is what our normal meeting is.
Right.
Same here.
Okay. Yeah, so we won't have it the first week for sure. Okay, so the mayor and Corey and Rob and our public works crew has been out and about all day today. You've probably seen a lot of people are pumping. There's a lot of groundwater with the rain and the
Out
snow.
here, you can see it pulling up around the trees and around the
Yeah.
sidewalk. It's,
So we'll be looking into that and trying to get those issues addressed. John's going to talk a little bit about our flood prep for potential flooding out of Maple Canyon. That's where, if there's actual flooding, surface flooding would most likely be the case from Maple Canyon. So John's
Do we
going to hit
need
on that.
more help with what's going on right now?
No, it's primarily just identifying what the issues are and making sure there's areas, if people are pumping, that it's being pumped to an area that can actually handle it and not flood someone
Besides
else.
the neighbor.
Yep. So that's all I had.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on that down there, that was one of the issues today, is making sure that the whole system was clear for water to flow through. And one of them wasn't, which was my area, and that got cleaned up today. So they've made some good progress down there today. So that is in our storm drain system. That's what's coming up. That isn't runoff that's coming off the mountain. So just the one I'm going to talk about is just a different one. So yeah, it's a topic. It's been a full-time topic since last Wednesday or Thursday, when all of us sat in a meeting with Public Works. We're putting a plan together, and we need one more meeting, and that's tomorrow, with the federal agency that's here, that's going to talk about predicted runoff and what they're seeing up there. We want to have that meeting tomorrow with them, and then start putting out some information on Friday. Madison's going to help us with that. She'll be involved in that meeting tomorrow too. What we're seeing, what we want to do right now, and in the process going, is we have brought in some sand. There's been some sand brought into town. The city's ordered about 6,000 sandbags, and we'll make those available to the residents. And that's what the messaging will be on Friday, is how they can access that, when they can access it, and the process of getting that sand filled and where they need it. So we anticipate the runoff historically is in mid-May, so we have a little bit of time. If any of you know how fast it's going to melt this year, we'd like to know that information, because that's the critical question. But I'll just say for Corey, that's about all he's done the last couple of weeks, is be in meetings for flood runoff, or for water runoff. And that's what it'll continue to be for Sean and Corey and I for the next few weeks. So what our plan is right now is to start putting information out Friday to the residents, and build on that every week for what they have. And there's a number of ways: social media, our website. We're anticipating, and I believe it'll happen, some open houses with some residents that may be in an affected area, and let them come in and talk to the pros. So that's where we're going with that. So I'm sure you guys are hearing about it. I'm sure you guys are getting questions, but Friday's the day we're looking for information to be put out there, the first little bit of information.
Are we needing to do like a service event, kind of like what we did a couple years ago?
Thank you. I should have brought that up. That is in April, the first part of April, and we anticipate that will be a part of filling sandbags, but it's not organized yet, but we anticipate that'll be part of it.
Is that part of the April 26th, or April 22nd?
April 20th, yes, it'd be the community cleanup.
Okay, so it'll be part of it.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah, and so there's different areas of town we'll identify, and just so you know, there's a couple different areas, like the burn scar area, that group, we want to get back in touch with them and make sure we're locked back in with that group, and then other areas where these professionals are telling us that it's gonna run off, we'll meet with those communities too, or those areas of town. But everybody in town will be privy to what we decide to put out. When we put something, when I say we, it's gonna come from Madison. What we don't want to do is have the fire department put out some information, me put out some information, Madison put something out, and we start to confuse ourselves. So that will come from Madison, so that's where it'll be coming from when you see that stuff.
And then the rest of the departments and ourselves can share it from there.
That's exactly the plan. So, yep. All right, what are you hearing? You got people nervous? Are you hearing anything from your?
Pool in my neighbor's backyard
Yeah.
that wasn't there before.
You're in the groundwater area, so you're down in the low flow area, or the low ground water table, high water table area.
On 800 West and 1600, just driving over here, like, wow, I was kind of surprised at all the people with hoses out. But
Yeah, so that's the problem now, and Sean, you can correct me on this, but they're pumping from either their backyards or basements into the storm drain, and then it's raining on top of it, so it builds up a little bit. And the snow is melting behind Collins Place there, which is on a hill, and then that water comes down and piles up at the bottom there. So, a lot of water being moved around down there, but they're on it, so.
If water comes out of Maple Canyon, does it go along the front of the bench and then go down Hobble Creek?
So-
Down that way, or would it actually start fanning out farther?
So there's two, and jump in on this, Sean.
I know back in 83, I think that's where it was heading. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
in 83, there was no retention or basins up the canyon. There are 4 now. There's 2 up by the campground, and there's 2 towards the bottom. As those fill up,
You mean here? Oh, there's some.
Canyon.
yeah, they're not really big, but they're
Okay,
there.
yeah, there
And then
is some little ones, yeah.
at the bottom where most people park to hike up the canyon in the winter months, just east of that parking lot is the lowest basin. And then it flows into a ditch that runs west for a little bit, and then it goes north around most of those old homes on 2000 East. And it wraps all the way around and comes into a box on 400 North. From that box, it can either be directed to our pond.
That's where it goes.
Or it can go into a pipe that's piped all the way to Hobble Creek. The issue is that can only handle so much water. If you get a runoff like 83, which we don't think is gonna happen, but if you do, it'll overtop the ditch. And the floodplain, the 500-year floodplain is basically from Maple Street almost all the way to 1600 North and from about 1600 east. So it's that northeast quadrant that could potentially have surface flows if those ditches overtop. So that's where we would target the sandbags primarily, to those areas. But that's what we're continuing to work on.
And those basins, our crews are going up and clearing those out now. That's part of the plan immediately, is to get those, as much debris as they can out of them. Roundy went up and shoveled, or plowed the canyon to get up in there, and a little bit better access. So it's, I mean, I think that's probably gonna be our topic for the next couple months. That's probably where a lot of Corey and Sean and I's efforts are gonna be the next couple months, so. If you have questions, and people are worried, have them reach out to us.
Memorial Day is typically the peak, when you could expect to see the
So
peak
make it
runoff.
melt slow, nice and slow, slow runoff. So, thank you.
Great, thanks for the update. Reed?
Don't know that I have anything new to report,
Okay.
other than it's awfully wet at the construction site for the solid
Oh.
waste district, but it's still moving ahead. They do have some of the sites set aside to start pouring walls, and they hope to start doing that first part of April, but we'll see.
Great. Jessica?
The legislative session is over. I'm not sad about that. I've mentioned before that this is the toughest one that I've been involved in terms of things that I perceive would affect our ability to make our city the way our citizens want it. I am thrilled with how things ended compared to how they started. And kudos to Representative White, who has represented our community well. He was put in a very difficult position as the vice chair of the Commission on Housing Affordability. He had to hear from me a whole lot, and I was up there a whole lot. And things, you know, we've got a lot of compromises that fell out, but we didn't have prescribed 25-foot street widths, which could have happened. We didn't have zoning eliminated, which could have happened. Sean's going to have some changes with his job about limited red lines that can go back and forth with developers, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because everybody gets held accountable. So there's some process changes that every city is going to be dealing with. There's some financial implications, how the county is more connected to obligations regarding homelessness. It's not a bad thing. It's time for cities to really step up, especially in Utah County on that. So I was supportive of the initiatives there, but we do have other funding coming in too regarding transportation. So I'd say, you know, as a whole, I think the session ended up pretty well in allowing Mapleton to continue being Mapleton without as much overreach as I was thinking would happen. So yeah, big things there. Huge kudos to the Utah League of Cities and Towns, the work they put in, tracking more bills than they've ever done this session and advocating, and like 24/7, it felt like when I was in Cabo and I was on the phone with them, it was like, wow, you guys are committed. So that was pretty amazing. So I've enjoyed seeing all these cities rally together. It's pretty cool. We do have our next meeting for the Community Preparedness Committee next week as well. At 7. It's been highly controversial. That's all I've got.
Great, thank you.
Just a question, did they take away the right for city to do a referendum?
I think that one
No.
did not pass.
No, what happened is
I thought I
they
saw that.
cannot refer a unanimous decision.
Unanimous.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's really the 2/3. They can refer, it's just at the same level as legislative.
State.
They were talking about doing a 2/3, but I think it ended up
It went to
being
unanimous,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
if the council votes on a rezone and it's a unanimous decision, that could not be referred. But if there's one vote against, it would be
So
potentially
that did
referable.
pass. So
There's
that's kind of a slap to the
to
town,
citizens.
isn't it, I think?
Yeah, well, there were things worse than that.
Yeah, I've seen.
There were, in some of the ones I've mentioned, there were more efforts to make more processes administrative and eliminate public forums for many, especially development-related processes. And so those ones largely were killed. So citizens still have voices in a lot of areas that they potentially could not have. So
One additional challenge that did come is they are no longer allowing the cities the ability to require a bond for landscaping. So when new developments go in, we require a bond to make sure that the front yard gets put in and they put in street trees in the planters. We are no longer able to bond for that. So we're gonna, that's gonna be an enforcement
dirt for a little
Part of
bit.
a,
nightmare, but
part of a
we'll work
permit,
through it.
building permit?
we can't hold up a CFO for it. We can't require a bond for it.
Do you
So,
know, how does that affect past ones, and when does that come in effect? Do you know?
yeah, anything that's bonded for now is set. It's just from whenever the actual official.
We don't have to release
date.
those bonds, we're
No.
good until,
Mhm.
okay.
Just be going
So
forward.
they wouldn't, they could just get along with not doing it.
Well, we still have an ordinance that requires it. It's just going to be, it would have to be an enforcement issue, which is a whole different,
You know, it's,
whole
that's what I
different
mean.
nightmare. But anyway, but yes, thanks to Jessica. She represented us excellently and spent enormous amount of time.
We had a
And
lot
was there a
of
lot too.
people coming up, so thank you, Sean, but it was, big tag team on our team to really be involved, and that was really, hopefully it'll be a little more chill next session, but for some reason I doubt it.
It never is.
No?
Well, it incentivized me to realize that this big giant ball that's rolling down the hill is not stopping. We may have slowed it down this session, but to get more citizens involved in this and elect the correct people to go to next year's legislative session is on us, I think.
Yeah.
Sean, you mentioned in your email that with the site plans, that'll just be at the planning commission stage, right, and not city council?
Yeah, so subdivision applications that are just administrative, that don't include rezones, would just be handled by planning commission. But again, it'll be a few months before that officially takes place. And we'll have to make some amendments to address those.
Great, thank you. Casey?
Yeah, so I was in St. George for the past few days with Logan, Zach, Becky, and Kyle, and we had a just really fun time. But really, I learned a lot about some of the topics. I went to a lot of grant writing courses and learned a lot there, and so just a really good time to get to know our staff better, but also to get to know some of the other cities and representatives better. So I feel like it was good for me to go, and I know Spanish Fork, they send their whole city council, so maybe next year we can all go.
The exotic St. George.
That's great, thank you.
That's all I have.
I don't have a report. Darren?
The only thing I have is that the community cleanup is kicked in gear. We had a kickoff meeting a couple Sundays ago. Everything still seems to be the status quo as we have done in the years past. So it'll be April 22nd, 9 o'clock in the morning. Same, everything, there's not really anything changed. Other than we'll probably have a little bit more involvement in the community as far as flood preparations. So I will work with Rob. I think this will be Rob's first time, because my volunteer position is the dumpsters, so we want to make sure that those are taken care of. But I'll work with Rob as far as getting a front-end loader over there so we can make sure and keep those things packed down, but everything else is good to go.
Great, thank you. Camille? No? Matt? Madison?
I'll be brief, but I just want to say thank you for everything that everyone did to participate in the rebrand process, especially that video at the end. The public feedback we've received so far is overwhelmingly positive, and people are saying over and over again that small town, big heart resonates so much with them. They're like, this is Mapleton, it's great to put words to this. So we've got lots of work going on behind the scenes, especially with the website, getting things updated there. I know I've got a long list with signs and everything else, but thank you for getting us to this point. It's been a great project, and I appreciate everyone's feedback and input to get us here. So that's it.
Thank you for all of your work. Thank you.
Great work.
Yes.
So Logan was voted onto the URPA board, so when you see him, give him a congrats.
Oh, that's
for that.
great.
That's fantastic.
That's great. Okay, so that's administrative reports. We have a closed meeting. Okay,
No, we don't have anything.
we don't have a closed meeting? Okay. So is there a motion to close? Motion to close.
So moved.
I'll issue it.
All in favor?
Move to close.
Yes.
Garrett, yes.
Okay, have a good night.
Happy birthday really poorly. It's become a thing.
Other cities are going to